Hello, my name is Caden Martinez, and for my Dyad project on conflict, um, the first article that I chose talks about how a Indonesian telephone company called PT Telkom, um, somebody did a survey on the 270 participants, and the participants were the higher ups of the company, and basically they found in that study that there was a positive relationship between um, employee morale and organizational citizenship behavior. And um, I thought that that was interesting because, typically in government jobs in America, you hear um, that people like you have to get used to it. That's the main thing that I always hear is that you have to get used to it about like the environment, the people, just everything in general. You have to get used to it. And hearing that, it has kind of a negative connotation to it. You know what I mean? That doesn't make me want to work there. I have to get used to working there. That sounds like it sucks. And then I guess you have to get used to working everywhere, but I mean like the way they emphasize it doesn't really sound right. You know what I mean? But I used this article specifically because it talks about how they were able to overcome internal conflicts that a government entity might have. And, you know, they were all happy. You know what I mean? Um, they were all happy with their work environment and who they work with and things like that. And um, I thought that that was pretty interesting. And considering that at first I wanted to show that like the conflicts that government employees in America have to deal with, like, or dealing with, or what conflicts government employees have to deal with in America. And I found this article and it totally flipped the switch. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool how, a government entity was able to overcome conflict. And I just wanted to include that just to see if I can, you know, out of creativity. But um, article number two, um, it talks about parental conflict with middle school students. And in this study, they were looking at other studies and consistent behavioral problems that they had or that the students had. And I thought that this article was interesting because I wanted to show what conflicts students have. And I was looking through all of them and I saw this one and I was like, okay, this is pretty interesting. I mean, I guess students do kind of have to deal with parental conflicts. And I read more. As I read more, I found that they said that um, behavioral problems and social anxiety were the most prominent things that parental conflict can inflict on a middle school student because their brains are developing at a certain type of rate, they're in a specific um, period where their brain is growing and it can cause them to really go left or right. You know what I mean? They can either act out, be really bad, or they just keep it all in and who knows what happens. You know what I mean? And it talks about like when you hold those emotions in for such a long period of time, it really takes a toll on you. And when you're acting out, you're kind of trying to deal with it in your own way. And I thought that that was pretty interesting, considering I've had to deal with certain parental conflicts, and I'm sure everyone has. But um, I thought that the middle school age range was very odd, considering you're still kind of young when you're in middle school. You're not in a very large transition. You're just going from elementary um, to middle school to high school, and then but middle school to high school. I feel like high school would have been the um, more conflicts that the students had to deal with. But no, I guess not. But yeah, those were my two articles. Yeah, thank you.